Dwayne Wade had retired, but apparently this D Wade 2.0. His name is Donovan Mitchell, ladies and gentlemen. The brother's a star. We're going to talk about that. Plus, Doc Rivers had something to say about basketball fans out there questioning Ben Simmons. I wonder why that is. Does Ben Simmons hold the fate of the Philadelphia 76ers in the palm of his hands? We'll talk about that and more. Cruise in the house. Let's go.
You just got to be tough. When we're going to go home, ain't really too much to talk about.
Joel Embiid, and indeed, Joel got the worst of it.
Obviously, you don't really want to prepare for it. We do have to be better in those moments.
I did not quit, I got a 9 will. I did not quit.
The follow dunk by Westbrook. Beal to the corner, Hachimura, got it!
We dropped the ball on this one, but we'll recoup, get back together, and get it going.
Good day. What's going on, everybody? Welcome into First Take on a Tuesday. Thank you for being with us. Max Kellerman, Stephen A. Smith. I'm Molly Karen Rose. Stephen A. I look like we're ready to go walk a red carpet together. We're going with the light colors.
Not me, but you are.
But no events today. That hasn't happened yet. Guys, let's get into the games last night. Stephen A. alluded to it. The Philadelphia 76ers deal with 2 losses, dropping their first game to the Washington Wizards in this series, now down 3-1 and losing Joel Embiid, who left with right knee soreness, did not return. His other superstar counterpart, Ben Simmons, really didn't pick up the slack. Here's Sixers head coach Doc Rivers on Simmons.
Doc, is there anything that you can do coaching-wise? Does the thought cross your head at all to take him out of the game there?
No.
Why not?
You want me to take Ben Simmons off the floor?
No, I mean, I got to ask the question.
I will pass on that one. He's pretty good, so I'll pass on that suggestion. I didn't think he was scared of the moment. He just didn't make him. So, again, with Ben, we're going to keep him on the floor. Unless you guys want us to bench him the whole game. If anybody wants us to do that, just let me know. And then I'll know you don't know basketball. Ben is not a 40-point guy. It's not what he does. He does other things for your team.
All right, we'll get to that in a second. Let's focus in on Ben Simmons here. Through 4 games this postseason, he's shooting just 25% from the free throw line. That mark is the worst such mark in NBA playoff history, even worse than Wilt and Shaq. Stephen A., do you agree or disagree with Doc Rivers on Ben Simmons?
Well, I agree with Doc Rivers if you're talking about benching Ben Simmons. Then you're right. You don't know basketball. You don't bench a Ben Simmons. But where I disagree with Doc Rivers, and we've been on this show, I've interviewed him, I've known Doc Rivers, love him to death, the whole bit. He doesn't embrace the level of importance about Ben Simmons shooting as I do. I believe that Ben Simmons is a jump shot away from being LeBron James. That's how great I think Ben Simmons can be. His only impediment is his inability to shoot the basketball. But as I told Doc Rivers to his face, as I told Doc Rivers in interviews, as I'll tell Doc Rivers on these cameras right now, to minimize the importance of that, no, we're not flowing with that. Ben Simmons is the reason why when Max started off the season and you were talking about Philly, I like, nah. Ben Simmons, to me, is going to cost the Philadelphia 76ers a title. All because he has no shooting ability. And if you're a guy, you're the Shaquille O'Neals of the world or others where you require participation, where somebody's giving you the basketball, okay, that's a bit different. When you are the primary ball handler, when you run the offense, when you're the point guard and you are no threat from the perimeter at all, to the point where you don't even attempt shots from the perimeter, that's a problem. And I'll close by saying this, Max, because he's shooting 61% from the free throw line. Okay, he doesn't shoot perimeter shots. He doesn't shoot threes, and he's shooting 61% from the free throw line during the regular season and 25% in the playoffs from the free throw line. There was a game against Portland this year, and I really, really wish I could. I really wish I had that clip. I didn't call for it. That's my bad. Carmelo Anthony is guarding Ben Simmons when Ben Simmons comes past half court. And it was like he had a brain fart. And he said, oh, what the hell am I doing? And sprinted back all the way into the paint because he knew Ben Simmons would not even attempt a jump shot. You can't do that and beat these Brooklyn Nets.
There's a difference between not being able to shoot like Rondo back in the day or Giannis now and having like a comically bad, like completely unable to score from more than like 6 feet from the basket. That's Ben Simmons. That might stop you from winning a championship if he's the best player on your team or even maybe the second best player on your team. But you can win with Ben Simmons. You can get by this series without Embiid.
Sure.
The question is, you can build a powerhouse team around Ben Simmons, play 5 out or 4 out, like with Simmons either in the dunker spot or Simmons at point guard, right? If he's at point guard, it's 5 out because he's coming into the paint. You're either going to have to double him, someone's open, he's going to find the open man. That's why he has the most assists on 3-pointers since he entered the league, Ben Simmons. Or if you don't, he's gonna yam it. I mean, he's gonna get to the rim and he's gonna dunk it, right? So you can build a team around Ben Simmons like that, but that's not how they've built this team. That's not how they've been practicing with this team. But the question is, if they can get by the Wizards, especially up 3-1 without Embiid, yes, they can, and I believe they will, even without Embiid, even with Doc Rivers' record of up 3-1 and then not only not being able to close out but losing the series. Yeah, they can win without Embiid because Simmons is that kind of player. And Stephen A., when you talk about he's a jump shot away from being LeBron, right. In other words, he's a jump shot away from being one of the greatest players who ever lived. He does everything else.
Correct.
He has Magic Johnson level court vision and passing. He has better handles than LeBron. He's 6'10". Like when you see the list of guys who can't shoot free throws in the playoffs, they're all 7-footers, and Simmons is almost 6'10". He is a great defender. For my money, the best defender in basketball because he can actually defend at an elite level, 5 positions. So you can absolutely win with him. You can beat this Wizards team with him. Whether or not you can win a championship with him, particularly when this hasn't really been his team, it's been Embiid's team, is a separate question.
Well, let me say this to you. Congratulations to you, because you annoyed me already, and we 5 minutes into the show. And here's why you annoyed me. Who the hell said they can't beat the Wizards with Ben Simmons being who he is? Who said that?
They're playing
Come on.
now.
You know good and damn well. The conversation is about the 76ers and your championship aspirations. Ain't nobody questioning whether or not they can beat the Wizards. Matter of fact, it would be of all the struggles that Doc Rivers has had in recent memory in the playoffs, there will be nothing more damning if they lost this series without Joel Embiid. You can't lose to this team because we know that the Philadelphia 76ers are considerably better. No disrespect to Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal, who are studs. What I'm saying to you is that we all know this. What we're talking about here is the big picture as it pertains to the Philadelphia 76ers championship aspirations. And with all due respect to my brother, who I love dearly, Doc Rivers, here's the deal. People have to embrace and accept this reality because you see narratives in the world of sports where people are trying to, you could play better than us. You could play better than some of your contemporaries. What we do at the beginning of the season is measure what the expectations are. And I'm speaking on behalf of you, Max, not separate and apart from you. I'm speaking on behalf of us. You measure what your expectations were coming to the season. How many times have we talked about the Orlando Magic this year? Yeah. How many times have we talked about Sacramento Kings this year? How many times have we talked about the Minnesota Timberwolves?
But take the best player off any team, the expectations change.
I'm just simply saying we, as analysts, walk into every season looking at what your expectations were. These are championship expectations for these Philadelphia 76ers. We're talking title. They believe they can win the chip. Well, there's several people who picked them to win the chip.
What do you
Not
want
everybody.
Doc Rivers to say at the press conference? We're toast. We don't have Embiid.
No.
But Stephen A., everything you're saying, if you take the best player off of any team, you have to rearrange your expectations.
But what I'm saying to you is that the public, the press that's asking Doc Rivers those questions, he knows good and damn well they're not asking them about the Wizards.
Right, but let's look at what they have.
Championship expectations.
Look, as I said, take the best player off of any team in the league. You don't expect them to win the championship. Any team in the league. Take the best player off. If you thought they were going to win the championship, you don't think that anymore, right? Take KD off the Nets. Take LeBron off the Lakers. Take anyone off of any team. Take Embiid off the Sixers, same thing. But let's look at what the Sixers, so we're not talking championship anymore if there's no Embiid. The question is, are they still a powerhouse? Can they win playoff series, compete in the next one, maybe win the next one? Look at what they have without Embiid.
Right.
Without Embiid. Right. Ben Simmons, the Bucks built a team around Giannis this way.
Right.
But Ben Simmons is similar size to Giannis, better handles, an even better passer, better court vision, but shoots it even worse. But look what they have around. Danny Green can 3 and D.
Danny Green,
Seth Curry can shoot the lights out. Thibault is an elite defender already.
Right.
You got guys, Tobias Harris, can ball. I mean, you got guys on that team.
You're making my point. Because, see, you're talking about, well, we know they're not going to win without Embiid. I'm saying with Embiid, you're not winning with Simmons.
Probably not.
You see,
Probably not.
But
that's because the Nets exist.
No. But what I'm saying is, but you knew the Nets existed at the beginning. Not you. I'm just speaking in general. You knew the Nets existed at the beginning of the season. The bottom line is there were still people that looked at the Nets and said, we still rolling with Philly because we believe in them. And I'm saying to you, from day one, you're a testament to this.
Yep.
The minute the season started, I said, Ben Simmons' lack of a perimeter game is why I'm not picking Philly.
Again, I would just say this.
Final word
if
here.
If Ben Simmons had a problem shooting the way Rondo used to, like early in his career, he really
doesn't
couldn't
even
shoot.
attempt.
The way Giannis, you're right. Ben Simmons has like an insane ineptitude of like outside of even like, I don't know, 8 feet, let's say. He can't score outside of 8 feet. That's a problem. I agree. You're not going to win a championship with a guy like that. He has to shoot it sometimes. But whether Embiid is on the team or not, that's the case. And we're talking about without Embiid right now. Is Doc supposed to not play Simmons? You put him in the dunker spot if you have to.
We got to leave it there. Game 5 tomorrow in Philly. Another major story I can't wait to get into. Naomi Osaka announcing her withdrawal from the French Open. Two-ranked player made news Monday in a lengthy Twitter post saying the best thing for the tournament, the other players, and my well-being is if she withdraws. Osaka was scheduled to play in the second round Tuesday. After her first round win Sunday, she was fined $15,000 for skipping the post-match press conference, making good on her vow not to speak with the media in Paris. She faced escalating punishment after being fined, including default from the tournament. And explaining her choice to withdraw from the French Open, Osaka said this: I think now the best thing for the tournament, the other players, my well-being, as I just said, is to withdraw so that everyone can get back to focusing on tennis going on in Paris. I never wanted to be a distraction. And I accept that my timing was not ideal and my message could have been clearer. The truth is that I've suffered long bouts of depression since the U.S. Open in 2018, and I've had a really hard time coping with that. Serena Williams weighing in.
I feel for Naomi. I feel like I wish I could give her a hug because I know what it's like. Like I said, I've been in those positions. We have different personalities, and people are different. Not everyone is the same. I'm thick, other people are thin. So everyone is different and everyone handles things differently. So, you just have to let her handle it the way she wants to in the best way that she thinks she can. And that's the only thing I can say. I think she's doing the best that she can.
Steph Curry supporting Naomi, tweeting this yesterday. You shouldn't ever have to make a decision like this, but so damn impressive taking the high road when the powers that be don't protect their own. Major respect. Stephen A., I'll start with you here. Should athletes be required to speak to the media after sporting events?
That's a difficult question even for me to answer. I would tell you the answer would be yes. The reason why the answer would be yes is because of a few things. Number one, you know what you signed up for when you decided to be a participant in that respective sport. You have an obligation. And when you sign up for those obligations, fulfilling your commitments matter. When we talk about being role models and having an impact on folks on the come up, and setting the example for others to follow, that comes along with it. Secondly, the media is what enables the sport to be promoted. And the promotion of the sport is what generates the revenue, along with the athlete's performance, of course. And as a result, that's what ultimately assists in the athletes getting paid the money that they get paid. So that can't be ignored. But that doesn't mean that we shred our humanity and ignore the profound impact that mental health issues have and exist with all of us. You can't ignore that. I'm here today with y'all. I don't want to be here today. Today is June 1st. Today marks the 4th year that my mother died. I do not want to be here. But I have a job. I signed up. And the NBA playoffs are going on. And people expect to hear from me. And if I'm going to call in from work, it's because I need to be sick. It's because I need to deal with whatever it is that I have to deal with or whatever. But I don't want to be here today. But I understand my responsibilities. And in her case, what I applaud about her so much is that she's been honest. She didn't just take off. She didn't just snub her nose at the media. Anything. She explained why. Mm-hmm. It makes perfect sense. It showed incredible courage and thoughtfulness on her part. Mm-hmm. And what I would encourage everybody to do is when somebody tells you something like that, you listen to them and you wrap your arms around them, literally, figuratively, or whatever the case may be, and you support them in every way possible and imaginable. But for people to sit up there and say that, well, the French Open was wrong, or Wimbledon, the Australian Open, the U.S. Open were all wrong to like gang up on her. Well, that's assuming they knew. See, when you come out with the press release, Max, and you tell what's going on, well, not the press release, what she did on Twitter, whatever she did, when you let the world know this is what's going on, then that's a different ballgame, as opposed to you just not doing what you were obligated to do, and nobody knows any reason why. There's a difference. She did not do that. And that's why I think it's incredibly important that we support her and we support the millions upon millions of people who go through what she's going through right now, because anxiety wasn't my issue. But of course, I've been devastatingly depressed. And I was in therapy for 3 years. 3 years. Because that's how devastated I have been. And I'll never get over it. I'll never be the same. But acknowledging what my issue was and going to seek help helped me to be able to come on national television and articulate positions like this. Because before, I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. Didn't know.
Can I just say something really quickly, then I want to hear from you? That's a beautiful moment. And I appreciate you coming on national television, not just as a man, as a black man, and saying that you were struggling, so you decided to seek help. Because you could have went in a ton of other areas, detrimental vices, but you decided to get better and put in that work, and you're stronger because of it. And I think that's incredible. And I applaud you for saying that today on national television. So thank you. Max?
The answer as to should athletes be required to speak to the media, in my opinion, is yes, they should. And you have to take that with a grain of salt, because we all work in the media. So we have an incentive to want athletes to talk to the media, to us. And incentives shape behavior and opinions in ways that people aren't even always aware of. You don't have to be twirling your mustache, this is in my best interest, but it still shapes the way you think. But I do really believe that. Even having said that, I do really believe that, because even now with the proliferation of media, social media, well, there are ways that you don't need to talk to the media, the so-called legit media or mainstream, in order to reach people. That's true. But especially for niche sports like tennis, you want to reach a broad audience. You want to go to places that are clearinghouses for news so people can consume it and maybe get more people who are casually interested, more interested. Stuff like that. And the media, obviously, the reason leagues have partnerships with the media is they're very lucrative for everybody involved. So you want athletes talking to the media. Now, when mental health issues, which have been stigmatized, which is why we're all talking about the importance of Naomi Osaka talking about this publicly, not running from it, but confronting it. Hey, everybody, this is why I am doing this, and this is why I'm withdrawing now. That's great, because especially someone like Osaka, who everyone seems to admire for good reason. Even the way she's handling this, she's easy to admire. And not just her play on the court, but the way she handles herself. That's great, because it takes away some of the stigma for other people going through the same kind of thing. When your mental health issues that you need to take care of conflict with your professional responsibilities, I think a lot of people like Steph are saying, hey, the employer or the organizer in this case should be sensitive to that. Work with the athlete. Let's figure this out. And maybe going forward they will. But as of right now, wait, hold on. Now we have to make an exception and it's hard to stop down what you're doing and take care of that on a one-off basis when there are rules in place that everyone has to follow. Part of the fear probably is that it'll be a slippery slope, that people will have legitimate mental health issues and others will use it maybe as an excuse to not have to deal with an obligation that's annoying to them, right? And the tennis world and the sports world has to just figure this all out. How can we best go forward? But as of right now, I don't have a problem with the way anyone handled this. I don't have a problem with event organizers saying, wait a minute, we can't make an exception on the fly right now. You got to talk to the media. That's part of your obligation. If you can't fulfill that obligation, we have to fine you. I don't have a problem at all with Naomi Osaka saying, okay, at this point, I'm becoming a distraction, and I'm not equipped at this moment to deal with all the ancillary responsibilities and obligations and play tennis. It's not good for me. I got to step back. I don't have, I know people seem to have a problem with one or the other. I have a problem with the way no one has behaved. I don't have any problem with the way anyone has behaved in this situation, and I think some good can come of it.
This is not a situation where she looked at the media and called them peons, and I don't feel like talking to them or anything like that. She acknowledged this is about her and where she's at and what she's enduring.
Yep.
And I don't think that we have any choice but to completely and totally respect and support her position in that regard.
But I do think we have to take mental health as seriously as physical health for the athletes as well. And I just want to go back to a couple of things you said. And this is not challenging you guys at all whatsoever. This is just a discussion based on it. So when you had mentioned, I would only call out if I was sick. So if she's clinically depressed and clinically suffering from anxiety as well, she is sick.
Mm-hmm.
She's mentally ill. So essentially she is calling out. It's just not physical. Let me just say a couple more things. And if we talk about the importance to growing the sport, I guess where the powers that be in charge of the French Open have to decide, is it better to have Naomi there, not fulfilling media obligations, than not having her at all, the number 2 player in the world? And the last thing I want to say in terms of filling commitments, if it was an athlete and they were dealing with a physical ailment, they might be given a pardon or grace to skip a practice or miss a game. And they would work that out for the athlete. So I think rules do need to change for mental health as well. And I think Naomi could be a catalyst for this. To what you're saying, Max, if she came ahead of time, in effect said, I'm suffering from this, some type of doctor's note, et cetera.
I think those were all good points, Molly.
Wait, I'm not done with the point, though. Mm-hmm. And she goes to the powers that be ahead of time, and she's saying, I would like to participate, but I can't fulfill my media obligations. Can I still? I think they need to look at that and consider that moving forward.
I think those are good points, and I think that last suggestion you made may be one of the things when a lot of people get together and start figuring stuff out, there are different ways to handle it. I think it's a complicated issue in the world of sports because how many athletes throughout the history of American sports or team sports, even worldwide sports, individual and team, have felt unbelievable pressure, have felt like they want to crack, have felt like they've had to play through, just like they have to play through physical injury, have to play through some kind of mental state of or emotional state of being that's not healthy. And so I think some fans will look at it and wonder, well, and even I felt Serena alluded to it. Not everyone's built the same. And then she talked about the physical differences in people, but there are also mental and emotional differences in people. And part of what I'm sure the event organizers and leagues and tours will be concerned with is the idea that there is a difference between feeling pressure, just like there's a difference between hurting, and being injured, really having a mental health issue. And how will they even be able to suss all that out, especially on the fly, where there's no precedent for it?
There's a couple of points. Number one of the things that I said was that when you have people lamenting the fact that all of them seem to gang up on her, okay, I'm saying you have a point if they did that after her statement. But if they did it before her statement, then it's entirely possible they didn't know. And if they didn't know, then essentially you're an athlete that's saying, I don't feel like honoring my obligation. And they can't tolerate that. Now, if you acknowledge what she acknowledged, now we have a different ball game because you've publicized it, you've acknowledged it, and now it's calling upon them to have a heightened level of sensitivity. That's one point. The other point, when you talked about depression anxiety. That is an illness. Well, you're right. The problem is sometimes even you don't know it. Like, I didn't know. My family had to, like, you kind of volatile.
Yeah.
You're not right. Something's not. Look at you on TV. Look at you when you walk in the street. You ready for anything. What's wrong with you? They had to tell me, because to me, I was numb. Nothing mattered. Nothing mattered other than my daughters. Nothing. I didn't give a damn whether I lived or died. It didn't matter to me, because the greatest human being I have ever known in my life was gone. And so for me, it was like I had to deal with that. I had to channel that in, and I had to remember there are people that love me, that I love, that I'm hurting them just by being around them because they see an emptiness. I was gone. And so when you know that you're dealing with something, when you don't know that you're dealing with something like that, it harkens me back, Max, to Muhammad Ali. Why do I bring up Muhammad Ali? Because when we talk about these great athletes, unfortunately, fair or not, in the eyes of fans, it's not just what you can do physically. It's what you can overcome and endure mentally, emotionally, etc. So when they look at you and they hear that you're going through something, in today's generation, there's a level of compassion that we have because we're more educated, more informed, more edified. But back before then, when we weren't as educated about that, there was a significant level of insensitivity that we all harbored. And we said, hell, everybody got to go through something, figure out a way. And you still have people that deal with that today. The difference is when you walk outside the athletic world and you're sitting on television, for example, or you're doing whatever you do, and you go through such a devastating loss. I will never get over, ever, the loss of Janet Smith. Every single day, I am miserable at some point. But because of the loved ones and the support, I can move ahead. And Naomi Osaka and everybody in this world like her that's suffering from mental health issues, they all move forward and survive because there's people that hug them figuratively and literally and say, we here, we get it. And that's the difference between now and what was going on in the past.
Let me just say this quickly. So if you're wondering why I was getting so emotional during that conversation, it's not just because of what you went through, Stephen A. and Max. I know you went through a very challenging time. We've lost, it's not a secret. My husband works here, and we've lost 5 people in my family this year. And I know what kind of pain he's in, and I know it's very similar to what you're doing. And to feel like you can't support the person, and to feel shut out, and wanting to do everything and seeing them hurting. So that's why I'm here. So I apologize to my family. I'm sorry that came out on national television, but it's real.
Dealing with a lot.
It's life, and it's.
And Jalen comes to work every day.
Yeah.
And it's been a really hard couple of years, and he really does. And so you're lucky to have amazing people in your inner circle that encouraged you to do that, and I'm glad that you got the help. And
But Jalen's lucky to have you. I watch Jalen all the time because I'm watching him, and I know I don't have to say a word to him. I know what that brother is going through.
It's unreal, and these are acute. These are examples of acute trauma, right? There's an event that causes trauma and emotional pain. Some people are dealing with general depression or anxiety. And Stephen A. touched on it earlier. He wasn't even aware he was going through it at first, even with an event, right? So physical injury, people understand. I hurt right here. But mental anxiety, emotional trauma, sometimes you're really not aware of it the same way. So that's the importance of Naomi shining a light on it. This shows the importance of that because she's aware of it and she's acting on it as though it's something that happened to her on the court, as though it's a physical injury. It's an emotional and mental issue she has to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. So wasn't expecting this conversation to get so heavy or that to happen, but hopefully it benefits some people at home. We're going to take a quick break and get back to all the hot topics and 100 days away from the start of the NFL season, Aaron Rodgers is in Hawaii living his best life, frolicking through waterfalls with his fiancée and friends, not mad at him, while his teammates, they're attending OTAs in Green Bay. Well, everyone except his wide receivers, no coincidence. He knew June 1 is an important date in this Rodgers saga. So here's the financial impact. Today's the last day before Aaron Rodgers' cap charge stands at over $38 million. If the Packers trade the reigning MVP anytime after today, the charge will drop nearly in half. Rodgers could be fined over $90,000 if he misses all 3 days of next week's mini camp. June 1 deadline. Who wants to start here? You good?
Doesn't
all right.
matter.
What message is Rodgers sending, Stephen A?
Y'all can kick rocks. I don't give a damn what y'all think. How y'all feel about me? At 90,000, I'm good. Shoot, I go to Jeopardy. I can make 10 times that much. I'm good. We all right. I don't have to worry about that. And he's right to do so. Because as I repeatedly state, I get upset sometimes, like I think guys like Dan Graziano and others do such a fabulous job for our network, and I appreciate the intel that they provide for us when we're talking about the sport of football. But when I listen, and the reason why I bring up his name in particular is because I've heard many times about, well, the Green Bay Packers are not screwing him over. I mean, he's in a good situation. They're competing for a Super Bowl championship or whatever. And I literally want to scream at my TV like, are you not listening to the guy? It ain't about football. He feels disrespected. This about how you are treated. It matters. Especially when you're somebody like him who's confident enough to know that you could go somewhere else and win, who's confident enough to know that there are a plethora of people out there who would want your services, if not most of the league, okay? You know all of this. And so as a result of it, it's not just about the football. It's about being in an environment where you feel good about getting up and coming to work every day because you like the people you're working with and you like the people you're working for. And at the very least, when it comes to the people he's working for, he does not like them. Gutekunst, Mark Murphy. Those are the two names that come along. Before it was Ted Thompson back in the day. Now it's Gutekunst. And Mark Murphy's been there. He does not like them. He doesn't feel they have treated him right. Period. And everybody that covers football, damn it, stop talking about the football. You know good and damn well that's not what this is about. Look at the Green Bay Packers. They're a Super Bowl contender. Clearly, Gutekunst has done a good job in keeping them afloat and keeping them as title contenders. Stop acting like this is football. You know damn well it's not.
I would say that what Rodgers is saying by sending these, putting these pictures out publicly is, as I've been saying, he is the deciding one. He will call the shots. He's the shot caller. In other words, you can't make me play for you. And he's right. There's an expression, you don't want to cut off your nose to spite your face, right? That's the position the Packers are in. They have no power. Well, are they going to cut off their nose to spite their face? That's the only thing they can do. They can say, well, we can't make him play for us, but then he can't play for anyone. So you're going to take a guy who can get you at least 2 first-round picks and other stuff, maybe 3 first-round picks plus other stuff, and say, no, we don't want those things. We'll just take nothing, thank you very much, just to spite him. We'll cut off our nose to spite him. No, they're not going to do that. They will never do that. Therefore, just as I said with James Harden, same thing where you can look around professional sports in the NBA and the NFL at the difference makers, the uppermost elite guys, AD, Aaron Rodgers. Eventually it will dawn on the team. If we want him to stay, we have to change his mind. His mind. There's nothing else we can do. Otherwise, we are going to be forced to trade him to the team of his choosing. Because all it takes is his agent picking up the phone saying, he's not going to really want to play for you. Well, then they're not going to trade for him. So eventually it will dawn on the Packers. We either change his mind to stay here, or he will tell us where we're going to trade him. That's what at Rodgers' pictures, everything he does is showing that. He is calling the shots.
I don't want to say he's calling the shots, because if he was calling the shots, he'd officially not be a Green Bay Packer. They got something to do with it.
The shots take a little while
You're
to
saying
go down.
he's a made man, pretty much. Come on.
James Harden, AD,
He's
Aaron
that bad
Rodgers.
man, Aaron.
He's a made man. And listen, you know what I think about when I think about Aaron Rodgers? You know, and Aaron Rodgers may not realize this, but I'm going to tell you, without him even knowing, at this particular moment in his life and his career, who his idol is. Irvin Magic Johnson. A couple of years ago, Irvin Magic Johnson, little scuttlebutt news, Lakers, all this stuff going on, Rob Link, everything else. Irvin Magic Johnson, last game of the season, LeBron warming up, stretching on the court. Irvin Magic Johnson, I quit. I don't need this. Life's too short.
Yeah.
I don't need the stress. And he can afford to do that. If you really, really think about it, Irvin Magic Johnson is all of our idols. He's the idol of every working man, if not in this nation, in the world. Because every working man aspires to be in a position that says, I don't need this.
Well, think about what the Buss family did.
this.
Go back. Magic is a great example from decades ago when he was a player. The Lakers had a coach who was not playing the right style that made Magic happy. Magic, because he was so important to the franchise, Dr. Jerry Buss, the greatest owner by far in the history of American team sports, by far. Don't bring Steinbrenner, I'm a Yankees fan. Stop it. It's Buss. Realize, wait a minute. This dude is the franchise. We have to make this guy happy. The Packers have not realized that about Aaron Rodgers. They've gone in the opposite direction.
That's it. That's what it is. I mean, you got somebody.
I like that Magic Johnson perspective, though.
Listen,
it's true. It's true. At some point, he's in a position to say, I don't need to deal with this anymore.
I'm talking to Magic.
Yeah.
I'm like, what you doing? What are you doing? Yeah. The Lakers, you're going to get Anthony Davis in a month or two. Yeah. You're going to win the title. Magic was like this. My brother, I got to be happy.
And he's got a lot going on.
I'm not happy.
Yeah.
He said, I don't need this. Life is too short, and my life overall is too good to allow this negativity to invade my space. I'm quoting.
I love it. Protect your peace.
To protect your peace. He said, to allow this negativity to invade my space, I'm done.
I love it.
And he's good.
Just like that.
Magic's good.
And who the hell
but he's putting a lot of work to get there, that's for sure. All right, we'll keep it rolling, fellas. We're going to stay in the NBA. Kyrie, Celtics fans weren't the only ones fired up with Kyrie Irving for stomping on Lucky the Leprechaun on center court in Boston. Well, a Hall of Famer who once kissed the emblem, not having it. Celtics great Kevin Garnett posting on IG. So nobody going to say anything about Kyrie stomping on Lucky. We're just going to act like we didn't see that. You can't do that. That's not cool on no level. All of us need to be better. Big baby Glenn Davis also chimed in with, like I said, you step on Lucky, you step on everybody that played for that team. Keep that expletive basketball before somebody gets hurt in real life. Now, this incident, of course, took a backseat to a fan throwing a water bottle at Kyrie on Sunday night. That fan, 21-year-old Massachusetts native Cole Buckley, was banned from TD Garden and will be arraigned Tuesday on a charge of assault and battery by means of a dangerous weapon. Local police told reporters that. Let's bring in a champion with the Boston Celtics. There he is. Kendrick Perkins with us. Good to see you, Big Perk. And I want to start with you here and get that player perspective. What do you make of former Celtics coming out and attacking Kyrie's actions?
Well, first of all, I want to say, you know, I love my brothers KG and Big Baby, and I love my Celtic Nation. But I'm gonna say this: I don't give a damn if Kyrie Irving dropped it like it was hot on the damn logo. At the end of the day, look, you cannot tell a player how to celebrate. He didn't hurt nobody, okay? This game is built off emotions. Excuse me, last time I checked, wasn't the fans booing Kyrie? Wasn't the fans sitting up there yelling, F you, Kyrie? And Kyrie went out in game 4 and almost had a 40-piece wing dinner and grabbed 10 biscuits, meaning grabbed 11 rebounds in that game. So at the end of the day, he was playing with a lot of emotions. They disrespected Kyrie the entire game. You cannot have it both ways. You can't dish it out and not be able and not be willing to accept it. So it don't bother me that Kyrie did what he did. He had the right to do whatever the hell he wanted to do after having a performance like he did. So Celtic fans, my brother KG, Big Baby, I love you all, but y'all got to get out y'all feelings. If he would have stood on the damn scores table, I wouldn't have given a damn, because Kyrie did what he was supposed to do in a hostile environment. He handled his business, and now you just got to move on. Telling me about a damn Lucky logo. The logo, same floor they pulled up the night before, the same floor that they could buff out if it has scuff marks in it. I don't want to hear that.
It did not surprise me that KG said something. And I pointed it out yesterday that the fan who got ejected, the fan who threw the water bottle, and should be prosecuted. You can't throw stuff at people. It doesn't matter if you're in an arena. You didn't leave the United States. You didn't leave the state you're in. You're subject to laws. You got to still act like you're in civilization, because you are. So that fan got removed and he should be prosecuted. He was wearing a KG jersey. And we were all quick to talk about the racial component to this. And maybe there is a racial component to it that the fan is not aware of, like that he needs to be more sensitive to in a larger sense. But maybe what that fan was thinking was wearing the KG jersey was, boy, KG knew the Celtic way. He showed up, gave his all to the franchise, loved this place, won a championship, is a true Celtic. And Kyrie showed up. We were better off without him than with him. He said he'd never leave, and then he bounced. Then he comes back and disrespects our logo center court. That is not an excuse to throw something at someone. That is not an excuse. I don't think KG is saying it's an excuse. He's just pointing out that people are mad at Kyrie. Doesn't excuse the behavior. They're mad at Kyrie. I understand what KG is saying. I get it. That does not mean a fan gets to break the law. I mean, go ahead, break the law, and now suffer the consequences. So Perk, I get what KG is saying, and I don't think KG, Big Baby, came closer to saying, hey, before it gets real. He walked up to that line closer than KG did. KG was just talking about the emotional side of it.
Let me say this. I'm actually upset that I have to talk about KG today, because when I talk about KG, what I wanted to bring up was how happy I am for him that he is a Hall of Famer, that his speech was great, that he deserved it, and I appreciate what KG has meant to the game, because when you talk about a cat, we're going to talk about Russell Westbrook in a similar light when he goes into the Hall of Fame someday. Dudes that never cheated us. Yeah. When they stepped on the court, they never cheated us. You always knew they were giving 100%, trying to win. You knew that, okay? And so I got love for KG, and I got love for Big Baby. But this was not the time to say such a thing. I mean, my God. Time ain't, maybe it ain't everything, but damn it, it's pretty close to it sometimes. You got some white kid that's 21 years old. Yes, he was wearing a Garnett jersey, but exhibiting his punk tendencies, deciding to stand up in the fans and throw a bottle at Kyrie Irving that came 2 inches away from his head. That ain't the time to sit up there and bring up some stuff about stepping on some logo, especially when Kyrie Irving talked about y'all before he got there, then got there, dropped 39 and won. You had ample opportunity to shut him up. You didn't succeed. As KP said, you gotta stomach that. I don't give a damn if he dropped it while it's hot on the damn logo. Handle your business against him. That's how you shut him up. And KG knows that better than anybody. And Big Baby knows it too. Why would you pick this time to make that point about Kyrie Irving? Because understand, and the fan, that little punk that did that stuff, let's understand something here. You know you had an opportunity for Kyrie Irving to be considered a huge villain in the eyes of a lot of people if you had never thrown the bottle. But by being that punk, you made it a story about you and your insidious behavior as opposed to Kyrie. And KG and Glenn Big Baby Davis, you can't tell me that you think that should be the story instead of the cat throwing a bottle at one of your former contemporaries. I don't believe. I love KG and Big Baby. I know them well enough. You can't tell me that's what you support. I don't believe that.
Yeah, and look, at the end of the day, right, the guy that threw the bottle, we all know he was wrong. But I'm talking about the emotions of the game in itself. Yeah. Forget all the outside noise. Forget what happened with with Kyrie making a statement with the racism. I'm talking about the game itself, all right, and just the emotions and the fans and how they really disrespected Kyrie. I mean, screaming "F you, Kyrie" is disrespectful. Kyrie took it like a man. He went into Game 4 and he handled his business in the Garden. How that man wanted to leave out and walk out through that tunnel, or how he wanted to celebrate, that's his damn business. And I don't see a problem with how he celebrated. Being a guy that played with a sense of tenacity, watching KG also play with a certain type of tenacity, especially on the road, watching him go back and forth with fans, you love that type of energy. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I think Stephen A's, your point is very well taken about, like, you wanted Kyrie to be the villain. That's gone now. If you're a Celtic fan and you're like, oh, look what he did, no one feels bad about Kyrie now. You've totally washed that away.
I just want to say one thing real quick, Perk, and this will make you smile. I will never forget when you talk about the energy and intensity of KG. When you guys won the chip, I think it was at the Garden, beat the Lakers back in 08, and he had that rallying cry. And my dad's a diehard Celtics fan because they would come and play at the Hartford Civic Center. I grew up in Connecticut. And when he screamed out, anything is possible, whenever I hear KG, I will think about that. That's one of my favorite moments in sports. And that was obviously a very good day for you, sir. Perk, sit tight. We got more coming here. Nobody comes on First Take and brings the fire predictions like Perk. As a pivotal Game 5 between the Suns and the Lakers awaits, Big Perk knows exactly how that game is gonna shake out. And speaking of bold, Patrick Mahomes has 20-0 in mind for the Chiefs. Watch our guys debate if that's within reason and if Tom Brady has a better chance at that mark in 2021. Stay here. Off slate, let's get it. The Nets looking to finish off their gentleman's sweep of the Celtics. Brooklyn's Big Three scored 104 points in 4 games, which is tied for the most by any trio in NBA playoff history. Denver and Portland battling for the series lead, with Denver hosting the Trailblazers, led by as many as 33 points in their Game 4 win, tied for the team's largest lead over the last 25 seasons. Can LeBron hold things down without Anthony Davis fully healthy? LA's 92 points in Game 4 marked the team's lowest output in any home game this season. LeBron has never gone home in the first round. LeBron spoke about his team stepping up in AD's absence.
Well, I mean, it's next man up. And obviously, if he's not ready for Game 5, it's going to be a tough blow for our ball club. But, next man up. And we've been like that all year. And, we're going to have to be like that in the hostile environment in Game 5. These shoulders was built for a reason. And, if it takes for me to put some more on top of it, then so be it. Win, lose, or draw. I'm ready for the challenge.
LA's 11-7 record in games with LeBron James and without Anthony Davis does not tell the full story. We discussed this a little bit yesterday. The Lakers were 1-6 in those games against this year's playoff teams, which includes a loss against the Suns teams. Comparatively, they went 10-1 against teams that didn't make the playoffs.
Carry on. Tell Stephen A. and Max to keep a cool booty while I address this situation, all right? No, Max, that's Max. Stop. Just stop. Max Kellerman. Stop it, Max. Stop it. What, Max? What are you talking about?
Calm down.
Hold that L. He better knock him down. He's a professional. Bro, put some respect on that man's name. We lost our mind debating with you. Yeah, you lost, all right. They want all this smoke. Carry on.
I need that Big Perk energy in my life right now. Perk, the floor is yours. What's carry on today?
You know what it is, Molly. Game 5, pressure. And who embraces pressure? LeBron James. And that's what he's going to do. He's going to deliver in great fashion tonight. He's going to rise to the occasion. I get it. Chris Paul, Andre Ayton, and Devin Booker. But guess who's still the best player in this series? LeBron James. And Dennis Schroeder, he's going to elevate his game tonight. He had 20 in Game 2, 24 in Game 3. Andre Drummond went on a worldwide tour. For what reason? Came to Laker Nation because of situations like this. He's going to have a big night tonight. The Lakers are going to win Game 5 in Phoenix. Carry the hell on.
Well,
Nice face, Stephen A.
I think it's possible the Lakers win tonight. Wouldn't make them the favorites without AD, but we saw the Lakers beat the Suns late in the seasons with AD and without LeBron. You would think they could return the favor. However you slice it, I don't know if it's game 5 or game 6. This series is going 7 games. The series is going 7 games. There's too much on the line for Chris Paul and his legacy, too much on the line for LeBron James at this point in his career. So it's possible the Lakers could steal one. They'd love to. I think they could win this series, but it's going to go 7 games, however you slice it, Stephen A.
You know, I really wouldn't have a problem with Kendrick Perkins if he said carry on. But when you say carry the hell on, it implies how dare you doubt me when you have given us plenty of reasons to doubt you over the last 2 weeks or so, Kendrick Perkins. I recall at least a couple of occasions
here we go.
that
Memory
you
of an
said
elephant.
carry the hell on, and then come to find out you were wrong. A matter of fact, don't you have errands to run for me when you get here in New York because you lost one of those bets? I think you do. So
Can they give you the laundry and say, carry on?
Exactly. You know what, Max? I'm going to get anything.
That was good, Max.
Anything that I have Kendrick Perkins do when he gets here, it's going to end by saying, carry on. That's exactly what I'm going to do. That's exactly what I'm going to say. Now, let me say this to you. I'm so confident, Kendrick Perkins, in what I'm about to say, that I'm going to give you an opportunity to get out of the bet that you lost, that you owe me. LeBron James and the Lakers are losing tonight. They are losing. And if they win tonight, I will let Kendrick Perkins off the hook. He will not have to.
But what if they lose?
But if I'm right, Kendrick Perkins, and they lose, I'm going to double up, brother. I'm going to double up. I'm going to get you good. So LeBron James, listen, without Anthony Davis, I watched game 2 of Phoenix that they won with Anthony Davis on the floor. That crowd was electrifying. Ain't no damn COVID there as far as those crowds are concerned. They were packed to the hilt, okay? They going to be in the building. They going to be ready for this. Now, I have no doubt that LeBron's going to be ready too. I have no doubt about that. I'm not putting this on him. I'm just questioning the level of help that he's going to have without Anthony Davis for this particular game. I could see the Lakers winning game 7.
Drummond's got to step up.
All right, yeah. But they ain't winning tonight. The Lakers fall tonight. They go down 3-2 to Phoenix. And LeBron James will end this evening on the brink of elimination in the first round for the first time in his career.
Are you taking that bet?
They going down.
Are you taking
tonight.
the bet? He's saying double or nothing on the bet. Are you taking the bet?
Well, Max, I was waiting on him to finish talking and finish yelling. All right, first of all, let me tell you something. I use carry on at the end of every damn thing I say, whether I tweet it or not, and my percentages are about 85% right, okay? That's the first thing.
Now, I said the hell. I said the hell. Carry the hell on.
Yeah, whatever.
Where'd you get those statistics, 85%? I like how you just pulled that number out of analytics.
I will say this.
Right.
I would take that bet. I'm taking that bet because I believe that the greatest, one of the greatest in your eyes of all time, is going to go out there and deliver in great fashion tonight. So I'm taking that bet, Stephen A. And by the way, I'm going to end by saying this. New York, stand down.
That's just low right there. You know, New York don't play till tomorrow. You could have waited till tomorrow to do that. They don't even play tonight. And here you are coming at me. See, that's that insecurity right there. You want to sit up there and take that shot at me. But that's all right. That's okay. Let me tell you something right now. LeBron going to drop 40 tonight. LeBron going to put it on them. LeBron's going to show up. I don't know if Kuzma will, Caruso,
Need someone to finish.
Drummond, Kentavious, Caldwell Pope, even though I like him. I like all of them. The point is, I don't know if they're going to show up tonight. Now, I think Anthony Davis returns at some point in this series, preferably game 7, if not game 6, and they win the series. But I'm telling you right now, they will lose tonight, most definitely. And they probably going to lose the series if Anthony Davis don't return.
Well, yeah, if AD doesn't return, they're going to lose the series. But this thing is going the distance. This is going too much at stake for all the biggest players.
Well, what if Anthony Davis doesn't return for Game 6 at the Staples Center?
The Lakers will win either Game 5 or Game 6. They are taking this to LeBron's not going out like that. LeBron's not going out.
I'm telling you, Lakers are not losing. KP.
Everybody stay still for a minute.
Okay. Uh-oh.
I had to get a screenshot of this so when I win this bet. I had to get a screenshot of this so when I win this bet.
Okay. Yeah. The Lakers will lose tonight.
Okay.
They gonna win Game 6.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. He said I was yelling. Let me modify. The Lakers will win tonight.
Please don't talk in that voice.
Then after that, they will. They say Lakers will lose tonight. I'm sorry. They will win Game 6, and then Anthony Davis will decide if they're gonna win this series in Game 7.
Out on the line. I like the drama.
That's how it's going down, KP. That's how it's going down.
All right. The favorite part of the segment is when Perk said New York stand up, and then when he also gave us his percentages. He's like a TV doctor.
Stand down. New York stand down.
Oh, stand down. Perk's right 85% of the time. Those are his percentages according to Perk. Perk, I love your analytics department. So spot on. You are the best, honestly.
Carry on analytics.
All right, let's get
Carry the hell on.
Let's get in the commercial break.
You're giving that coffee order. Carry on.
Oh my God, Perk's right 85% of the time. Tom Brady has done just about everything in his career except for going 20-0. Mahomes. The young GOAT, Patrick Mahomes, has his eyes on the prize for this upcoming season. Here's Mahomes speaking on his record-breaking focus.
The only record I have my eyes set on breaking, which it'd be new this year, going 20-0.
Okay.
It's not really a record to be broken, I guess you'd say, but I think 19-0 is the record right now. So being able to go 20-0, be the first one to do that, that'd be awesome.
Oh, Teddy Bruschi knows all about this. There he is, him and his 3 rings. I know you love this subject. I saw you with Greeny earlier. You were fantastic. Let's go, guys. 20-0, quite the goal. A reminder that Tom Brady has, in fact, gone undefeated in the regular season, but obviously couldn't finish the job in the Super Bowl.
Big Blue.
That was back in 2007. Teddy, what will it mean if Mahomes did one thing that you guys didn't do?
It's you say one thing. It's not just one thing. It's the mark that we all want to attain. Every quarterback, every player, every championship team talks about the 1 or 2 that they lost during the season, how it shouldn't have been, and possibly if something would have happened or fortune would have sort of been on their side, they would have had the undefeated mark. It trumps everything, Molly. Guys, that's all I'm saying. If he's in the room, and Mahomes already has a championship, so it wouldn't be just the one. I mean, that it would be the one that trumps them all. That's the way we looked at it going, when we started the feel the pressure of being 14-0 and 15-0, when you start to acknowledge things and let all the outside pressures in and make sure you're all on the same page within the organization, hey, we want to win all these and do not take us out because we want this mark. So the pressure with it is immense. I love Patrick Mahomes. I love how he's talking about it because I believe it can be done. I would like to see if it can be done. Do I think the Chiefs are the team that can do that? Absolutely. They have a chance. I mean, people think about the the 07 Patriots and think about a team that just ran through everyone. But the second half of the season, there were 4 games where we were behind in the fourth quarter, and certain things had to happen. Either Bart Scott had to throw a flag, or Rex Ryan had to call a timeout when we didn't get a quarterback sneak. I love you, Rex, but it was a good timeout. It helped us out a lot. But you need those types of breaks also. So it's attainable. It can be done, and I just love how he's talking about it. But if he were to get this, I mean, that puts him up there with a championship that trumps all the others.
I completely agree with you because the bottom line is this. He's already recognized as one of the all-time greats talent-wise. to have an undefeated season. I mean, think about it, and I mean no disrespect to him whatsoever. But why do we still why do we still bring up the name Mercury Morris to this day? Because he was a part of that undefeated 1972 Miami Dolphins team. That's why. You understand? So we remember that. It's unforgettable. It would live in the annals of sports forever. We get all of that, okay? Only other thing that I would like to say is that one of my favorite highlights of all time was that Tom Brady, the Randy Moss touchdown pass against the New York Giants in the last game of the regular season. For this reason and this reason only. It wasn't the touchdown pass. It was the fact that the play before that, the exact play before that preceded it was the exact same play. And so they threw it. It was an incompletion. And then the next thing you know, Tom Brady and Randy Moss went back to the same exact play. And I always remember that. I was like, damn. Obviously they were 15-0. They were going for 16-0 or whatever. The Giants gave y'all a run for y'all money. But to go out there and to call the same exact play for the touchdown, I just thought that was something beautiful.
In the Super Bowl, people don't talk about this one as a Giants. As a Giants
different
fan,
level of a thought process, too, guys. I'm sorry, Max. I got to talk about it. There's just a different level of a thought process when you are going for an undefeated mark where, the pressure, it's so immense and you almost embrace it. You welcome it. And even that play that you're talking about, Stephen A. Okay, it didn't work. You know what? Whatever. Run it again. Run it again. Just do it again. That's how good we are. And it's that type of confidence and that type of state that you get in when you know that you just can't be beat. Now, we didn't finish the job. Yeah, Big Blue, they got us on that day and everything. They were the better team. But still, it's a mindset that very few teams have the opportunity to even think about. Because you got to at least, don't talk to me till you get to double digits, 10-0, and then you start to feel it at 12. Then it starts to creep in at 14. Then at 15, you're just making sure. So it's like
Steelers were 11-0. I didn't feel that way about them.
Yeah, right. Because you got to believe. You got to.
They were 11-0. I didn't feel that way about the Steelers last year.
Number one, in that 07 Super Bowl, I'll never forget. After the Giants scored, Randy Moss was streaking down the sideline, and Brady took a shot at him. That I felt like that game wasn't over until thank God that didn't work as a Giants fan, because you might have gone undefeated and won the whole thing. The second thing is they have Cleveland week 1. That's a tough game. We're talking about 20-0. They might be 0-1 after week 1. That's why 20-0 would be so amazing, especially the first year, 17 games and all that in the regular season. But I want to talk about something that we haven't touched on yet, guys. Brady is the GOAT. And Mahomes has played 3 full seasons as a starter. And he's been stopped in the playoffs twice. Once in the AFC Championship game, where a pre-snap penalty on a Brady interception stopped that game from being over in Mahomes' favor. Right? Mahomes won. Yeah. Brady threw an interception last play of the game. Mahomes, oh no, wait a minute. Pre-snap penalty. Brady gets the ball back, and Mahomes never touches the ball again. That's his one postseason loss. The next one was in the Super Bowl II. Tom Brady on another team. And not the Patriots this time, it's the Bucs. Tom Brady has stopped this young guy twice. And why that's significant is because Brady, as great as he is, when your eyes were on him, he never gave you the feeling, this is the best football player I've ever seen. He did it over time, doing it again and again and again in the clutch. But Mahomes, like Rodgers, gives you that, oh my God, like Dan Marino, I've never seen this is the greatest guy ever. And if he were to go 20-0, guys, and meet the Bucs in the Super Bowl again, and this time avenge the loss to Brady, right? Because there's a good chance that would happen too if he went 20-0. This is all crazy fantasy speculation. But guess what, guys? Mahomes is right back in the GOAT conversation because he will have avenged the postseason loss to Brady in a perfect season. He has the foundation to build upon to one day be considered the GOAT, even though he's lost to Brady twice in the playoffs.
Hey, Teddy, we only have a minute left. Can I just ask you a question here really quick? I want to change the subject because it's been on my mind. I was thinking of it. Remember when Brady came out and said he would trade one of his rings to have that perfect season and have won the Super Bowl? Would you do that as well?
Yeah. Well, trade one? Yes.
Or he said trade two. I think he said trade two. I'll give you one. He's got a couple on you.
Yeah, he's got 6, but yeah, Molly, it's the one that I just don't forget. It's plays that I remember during that game, and to have that one, it like I said, it trumps them all. Would I trade one of the others? Gosh, great teams, but yeah, that's the one that you want. And knowing that you were there. I mean, they're right there. Certain plays that you think of all the time. That's the one you wish you had.
That's really interesting. That's why you guys are so great, because you think like that. It's a little crazy, Teddy, but I like it. All right, Teddy, sticking around here with us. When we come back, easily one of the biggest stories in sports right now is Naomi Osaka withdrawing from the French Open on Monday and announcing that she will take some time away from tennis after controversy over media obligations. Teddy Bruschi back here with us. And, you know, Teddy, some people are arguing that these media rules are antiquated with social media and all this stuff now anyway. Do you think athletes should be required to speak to the media after games, matches, etc.?
All right. Yeah, the press conferences. Well, I do believe speaking to the media is a part of being a professional athlete. I don't know why it should be mandatory. I think the athletes should be given choices because of the way a lot of times the media is viewed within locker rooms. I myself personally felt when I was playing with the Patriots, you get done with a game and the game's not over yet. Because if it's a loss and you're going in there, here comes some more opponents that are trying to get you. In terms of, it's just how athletes keep themselves on guard, like trying to get me to say something that they will use in a unflattering light, if you will. So that type of philosophy is something that I always looked at, and always it was hard for me to develop trust, which I eventually did with a lot of members of the Boston media, but it can be very difficult. I understand what Naomi's talking about. Now, in today, especially after last year with the pandemic, I think that the option, one of them needs to be athletes having, if there's any type of anxiety towards it, the Zoom press conference where the athlete has control right in front of a computer, being able to be in a more relaxed state. Because I absolutely think that there are times where journalists try to challenge you during press conferences, and that can put an athlete on edge, and all of a sudden there's an uncomfortable situation and it's out there and you can't take it back. Now, do I believe it's part of being an athlete? Absolutely. But in today's age, the individual feelings of an athlete has to be considered more than before, and they need to be given options.
Yeah, I think athletes should be required to speak to the media, and you have to take that with a grain of salt because I'm a member of the media. And so I have an incentive to say that. That doesn't mean consciously I'm telling you something I don't believe, but you will find that people usually, like, incentives shape their behavior and their opinions. And people can point to social media nowadays and say, well, like, there are other outlets, but I think it's good to have a more centralized kind of clearinghouse for the news, especially a niche sport like tennis, where casuals can go and be made aware of what's going on. That's good for the sport, because I know people might be thinking, but the sport is the thing, right? The media is just kind of the window dressing. But we understand the world through storytelling. That's what, like, the reason there is the money there is in professional sports is not simply because they're playing on the highest level. It's because people know the characters. They know what's at stake for the characters. They know the obstacles. They know, like, how great the obstacles are, the characters they have to overcome, their antagonists, that whole thing. The media is important for that, and I think leagues and tours recognize that. Now, in terms of Naomi Osaka, who I think did absolutely the right thing by saying, okay, if these are my obligations right now, I can't do this right now. I got to look out for my own mental health. We talked a lot in the first segment of this show, in the first hour, about this. And mental health issues are very important because they've been stigmatized, and a lot of times, as a result of that, people won't get help. Yeah. And also, and Naomi Osaka, as an example, everyone admires, it's great that she didn't just say, well, I'm just withdrawing, and kept it to herself. She said why. But also, sometimes injuries, physical injuries, are hard to self-diagnose. Am I feeling pain, or am I just pain and I can deal with this? Or am I, in fact, injured and I shouldn't be playing, right? But mental, like anxiety, take for anxiety, for instance, that's even harder to self-diagnose because everyone feels anxiety, especially before something that requires very high performance in a competitive situation. There's a difference between just feeling pain and an injury. There's a difference between just feeling anxiety and dealing with an anxiety disorder. And I think that's also important for people to understand. And Naomi has, I think, brought attention to this in a very good way.
Naomi has brought attention to it in a very good way. And we already have expressed how we feel and how much we support her because she was open and honest about what she's enduring. And you just want to literally and figuratively wrap your arms around her and give her the support that she deserves. Because let's remember, she's also a winner, 4-time Grand Slam champion, 23 years of age and number 2 in the world. I mean, if somebody, she's already gotten this far despite everything, all right? She's that elite. But I want to transition away from her to address Teddy Bruschi specifically and what he had to say about athletes and talking to the media. And put me on the screen because I want to see Teddy when I'm saying this to my brother, Teddy Bruschi, who I love dearly. You know, Teddy, when are we going to put on our big boy pants, per se, and also talk about, obviously, mental health? That's a separate issue because we understand how important that is. But the athletes themselves that don't want to talk. Remember, in today's generation, a lot is about branding. A lot is about them protecting what they're trying to build. And here's my issue with that. Back in the day, you had cats that helped build these respective leagues, where the money then certainly wasn't what it is now. And if you lost something, you could lose everything because you didn't have a cushion, because you weren't allowed to build a cushion, because the revenue being generated for you specifically and for the sport overall wasn't then what it is now. So the cushion that you could build now, where you could lose your job and you've made tens of millions of dollars and things of that nature, that wasn't the case back in the day. You got cats, and I'm speaking NBA more so than NFL right now, Teddy. You got cats in the NBA that are making 9 figures and worried about how something's going to affect their dollar. But the 9 figures guaranteed. It's just that the stuff they after, they're worried about. And so as a result, everybody's treated like the enemy because anything that you say, people can take it and run with it. And what I'm saying is, how many times, Max, how many times, Molly, have we made assertions, allegations, accusations based on what we've seen, deducing that 1 + 1 = 2. We've been called liars. I'm talking about the media in general. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't have a clue. And then years later, when they're writing books or when they're doing interviews or when they want to come and work in this industry, suddenly we were right all along, but we weren't about to tell you that. We see a lot of this going on. And so I'm only bringing that up to say that when you talk about talking to the media, it's an obligation you signed on for. You know it comes with the job. And you can talk about how people are going to get at you. But what's wrong with them getting at you about what you put on public display? If people challenge our opinions, that's because, damn it, we on television spewing it. So that comes with the territory. If you're playing in an arena and they're attacking what they saw, that comes with it. What's the problem exactly, Teddy? What am I missing?
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, here's the thing with athletes. Athletes are people that want control. And now what they're going to try and start to realize is that I can control how I talk to the media. I don't need to see you anymore. I don't need to be in a possible confrontational place where you're there, I'm there, emotions are there. No, let's cut that right there. I want more control. Talk to me on my laptop. That's how it's going to be. That's what's going to switch from this pandemic year through all those press conferences we watch.
They might not talk at all.
The digital background. I mean, audio is in and out, but the athlete feels like they have the control now, and you can't put me in a place, possibly, all right, with your demeanor or with your tone that makes me say something that I don't want to say. You're talking about people that want control, that have made 9 figures, yes, and to have even more control about how they speak to the media is something that's coming next. You watch, it's going to be like,
I get you on that, Teddy.
Okay,
but
can I do it digitally?
I get you on that, and you're absolutely right, but let's not act like it's because somebody's in front of them antagonizing them. I've seen dudes get attacked by a reporter simply asking a question. You really struggled tonight. You shot 2 for 20. What was going on?
I think also there is a possibility here that I think we have to recognize, guys, that the media is changing again, and the way what we consider the norms and traditions are going to change. Once upon a time, Babe Ruth had a venereal disease, and he missed half a season, and everyone said he had a bellyache from eating too many hot dogs, right? Because the media covered athletes in a way that simply lionized them, that turned them into idols, that gave a very unrealistic view of athletes as though they were gods and heroic and weren't fully fleshed out three-dimensional human beings. And then a wave of journalism and journalists came along and said, let's tell the real story. And with anyone, there are ups and downs and highs and lows and good and bad and fleshed out the story as real three-dimensional characters. And it worked. People got very interested in it, and that became the norm, telling the truth. And the truth isn't always good. But, of course, the subjects of that kind of journalism don't always like that. They're like, I'm just playing a sport, living my life. Why do I have bad things written about me? And now, given the different technology and the proliferation of media and the control that athletes can have over their brands with social media and stuff, there may turn it like we may be entering a stage of new normal.
Can I say something
that's different than we're used to?
Really quickly, because I just don't want to convolute two issues here and trivialize mental health at all whatsoever. Stephen A., I understand what you're speaking to, athletes that just don't want to deal with the media, don't want to deal with the heat, don't want to deal with the pressure. This Naomi Osaka incident
that case.
Is different. Hers is a different case when we're talking about clinical depression, when we're talking about anxiety disorders. And back to what Teddy said, and I think this is important. She is a superstar draw. I'm a huge tennis fan. I played tennis. The answer cannot be the number 2 player in the world not playing in the French Open. There has to be a better answer, a better compromise, because in 2021, she's coming out and saying, I'm dealing with depression and anxiety. So to Teddy's point, whether that's virtual or they come up with some other options, and Stephen A., you alluded to this before, maybe shouldn't give them a heads up ahead of time. But now that we know this, we've had this incident, we have to come up with better options moving forward. So, because we do need to see her out there on the court. It can't come down to this, take your racket and go home. That's just silly. We're all better than that.
Well, I agree with that. I truly do.
Well said, Molly.
Especially when it comes to Naomi Osaka. But in our society, we always have to concern ourselves because we're always reminded of and told we have to pay attention to precedent. And so what happens is that...
I'm sorry, you said pay attention to what?
Precedent.
Precedent. Yep.
So what happens is that you're going to have people that look, maybe not at her, because again, she was open and honest about what her situation is. But you're going to have people that don't want to fulfill certain obligations, and you're going to have a sport league, an association, a governing body who's going to say, wait a minute, if we have these rules in place and we allow you to circumvent them, what does that mean for everybody else?
I think
and I'm saying that's just the challenge they're going to have to deal with.
No doubt. And I think Molly, I think part of what you're saying, at least what I infer from it, is how much of what is actually necessary to play the French Open, like how much can you pare away until you get to essentially what you need? If someone can just play tennis, they can be in the French Open if they're the number 2 player in the world. Let's not make so many other obligations that as long as they can play tennis, that's the main thing. But what the event organizers are saying is actually talking to the media and telling the story of what's going on. That is also essential to what we're doing. I don't think we can do this without
it's also essential. What's also essential now in today's, the 2021 athlete is the overall mental health of the athlete. And when an athlete says it's better for me if I do it this way, it's just got to happen now. It's just accepted more, and the athletes know this.
Yeah, I just want you to know when the spokesperson Giles came out for the French Open and made his statement of what happened, he then left and didn't answer questions to the media. Okay?
Wow.
With that, and I'm glad we're all smiling on this happy show.
That's a good point.
Teddy, we'll talk.